So welcome, Dr. Savita. So in the last session, my learning was, Dr. Anuradha, I read the feedback from your side. Actually, I read everybody's feedback very carefully to understand what I need to change in my future programs. So I read in your message, and also the previous programs that I have held, I realized that I have a lot of content to give and the time is probably short. So I'm just seeking your opinion that for the future programs and even for our batch, what if we plan the program for 2.5 hours rather than 2 hours? So I'll give you the reason why I'm thinking on those lines. After session 4, from session 5 onwards, two of you will be presenting 15 minutes presentation on one pedagogy. It could be role play, it could be using activities, it could be using puzzle in the program. So each one of you will be making a presentation for 15 minutes. So that means half an hour will be taken away by two of you in every session from session 5 onwards. So I will be left with just 1.5 hours, and that 1.5 hours also 15 minutes goes in the beginning and in the end. 5-7 minutes in the beginning and 5-7 minutes in the end. So almost like 15-20 minutes go in that process. So I'm left with just 1 hour and 10 minutes, or maximum 15 minutes of actual presentation. I haven't yet started with any clinical topic, which I will be starting from session 5 onwards. So session 1 was just to help you, all understand about understanding about clinical communication. How is it different and same as daily communication? 2 was about developing communication competencies. Session 3 and 4 are purposefully integrated in the program because this is a master trainer program. So I want all of you to go back with the confidence that I can go and independently design my program, deliver my program. These are the 2 primary objectives. So session 3 and 4 is, session 3 is designing a successful program, which we are going to discuss today. Session 4 will be all about facilitation skills, because a lot of us have wonderful content, but we are not very well versed with the latest updated pedagogies of training. So how do you go about conducting a successful session? That is session 4. Session 3 is about designing a program. Session 4 will be about facilitation skills. And session 5 onwards, we are going to cover different clinical situations. For example, handing over tools, understanding patients' expectations, handling a difficult situation like a patient who comes with some complaint or a request, or a patient who is aggressive or not cooperative, or breaking bad news, or disclosure of medical errors. So these are all clinical situations. And all that we are going to cover from session 5 onwards. So I was just seeking your opinion. Do you think that will make sense if we have sessions instead of 2 hours, maybe 2 hours, 30 minutes? Or will it be
we can start early, because 8 to 10 itself is we are talking of our Indian time. 8 to 10 itself is 10 gets a little late. So if you're starting a little early, instead of 8 o'clock, if we can start a little early, that would be better. And other thing is, in between 8 to 10, there is also a dinner time. So so that is also a little inconvenient. So I usually switch off the camera so that I can have my dinner during that time. So that's how I do it. Probably others would also have something to share. Thank you.
If you will have it with the camera on, then you'll have to send it for everyone.
Yeah,
that's a new norm from the court.
So what do others say?
From 7 to 9:30.
I am open. I have absolutely no thing. I can do.
7 would be a little early. I think we come from work. We just need to wind down a little before we get on to a very heavy session again.
For me, 7:30 is okay. 7:30 both is okay. But later, like after 10, it gets a bit difficult.
I know. I understand completely.
Yeah, I think 7:30 is okay.
7:30 should be fine.
7:30 would be fine.
7:30 is okay?
Yes.
Yes. So next session we'll do 2.5 hours, not from
And
this one.
also, in case if I'm able to cover earlier than that, it's okay. I mean, it's not that I have to drag it till 9:30. Maybe if we get free by 9:05, 9:10, 9:15, it's good for all of us.
We start at 7:30, so it'll be 9:30.
9:30. No, it will be
10.
10 o'clock.
Closing times
It will
will
be 10
remain
o'clock.
same.
10 at the most. 10 at the most. But then I will not have to rush through the content. I feel bad when I have to rush through the content. I feel I'm defeating the purpose of the program. And I don't know if I'll be ever meeting you again in this kind of a setup. So that is why I feel I must give you as much as I can in the session.
The other option would be one more extra session. That is the other option to look at it. I don't know.
That will not help. That will not help because each topic should be covered in one session so that we can close it there. And pedagogies have to be integrated like this so that each one of you get a chance to present and also, learn and then implement it in your work situation. So that's the idea of, developing this style of program where you can actually learn, practice, and come back with your feedback in the next session so that we can make changes and improvement as per your advice. So I think we'll start at 7:30 so that we don't go beyond 10 o'clock. And I'll try to finish before 10 as much as possible. In case if it goes up to 10, then mentally at least we are conditioned that, okay, 10 is the maximum. Does that help?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Yeah. So welcome, Chandana. We haven't been able to see you. If you can have your camera on. And also I want to take a picture for all of us. I every time forget that, and I'm going to tag you all.
Hi, ma'am. I just reached back from. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear
Hello?
you. I can hear you.
Yes, ma'am. I just reached home from hospital. I was walking. That's why my camera was off.
Oh,
I'm so
that's
sorry.
fine. That's fine. So, Dr. Sherbano, is Dr. Shifazo joining?
Sorry, ma'am. Tonight maybe she'll join later because she has so much rush of patients.
Okay, no problem. Absolutely no problem. So I'm going to take a picture or take a screenshot. So all of you, if you could sit straight and smile and give your best pose. Ready? Dr. Sherbano, are you ready? I have not yet taken because that picture is not complete. Yeah, I'll take now. One more. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah. Okay. So if you remember, we left last topic in between because we were, very close to past 10. So just 2-3 slides were left, but they were very important. So I thought I must bring them up before we start with the second topic. We had discussed up to teach back as a technique to make sure that your communication is complete and also is understood exactly the way you wanted the person to understand. Am I right? We were there at teach back? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So 2 factors that I feel they decide the quality of your interaction. Okay. So 2 factors that I think they decide the quality of our interaction and which you need to emphasize with your team members also or your audience is, one is their attitude towards their work. And second is empathy. So our attitude actually changes the quality of our work. And I'll give you an example by a story. There was a building being made. Somebody who was passing that site just stopped by and asked one of the laborers, "What are you doing?" The laborer said, "I'm breaking stones and I'm earning my food. I'm earning my livelihood for my kids. And this is my profession. This is what I do." A lot of us work with the idea that this is a source of my livelihood. There's nothing wrong in it. That's perfectly all right. We all need money to live and survive and meet our daily requirement. Somebody's mic is on. Can I request to check if anybody's mic is on? Thank you. So he goes to the second laborer and he asks him, "What are you doing?" That fellow was very frustrated, very angry. He literally snapped at him and he said, "Are you blind? Can't you see I'm breaking stones?" A lot of us work with this attitude that it's a burden, it's a problem. What I'm doing is something I don't like, I don't enjoy, but I'm doing it. So whenever you will go to them with any request or any work, they'll usually say you, "I don't have time. Please come again. I can't find it now. I will have to look for it. This thing is not available." So without even getting into looking for it, they'll straight away say this is not available. I'm sure you will see a lot of people like this in your organization. He goes to the third one. He asks this third laborer, "What are you doing?" So he takes this laborer, this guest or visitor, you can say, to a side. On this side, there was a huge map, and that map was of a beautiful temple. So with a lot of pride, he says, "I'm constructing this temple." Imagine, same work done by 3 different people, but with completely 3 different mindsets. Similarly, in healthcare, when we work with this attitude that this is my duty and I'm doing it, which most of us do, and you know the result, neither we are happy nor people are happy with us. A lot of us are very frustrated and we always feel we are overworked, we are understaffed, we are under resources, and we are always frustrated. So tendencies, we will blame the patient, we'll blame their family members, we'll blame our seniors, we blame our family, we blame the society, we blame the nation, we blame the national leader and everybody and anybody. But very few of us would value what we do as an important integral part of the quality service that we want to give to our patient. So I don't have to be a doctor or a nurse or a front desk staff, wherever I am. If my attitude of work is that I'm adding value to the work, I'm doing something which is very, very important and essential, the quality of work will be very different. And one of the ways I use whenever I hold program for the security staff or for the front desk staff or for people who are in, housekeeping, or people who feel that, they are not a very, very prominent figure in the system, not like doctors and consultants. So I always tell them, ultimately, people who are working in healthcare, they need not go to temple, church, or mosque or anywhere. The reason is, if you send your patient satisfied, your patient is going to bless you right here and now. So look at your work as a service to humanity. I always say people working in healthcare are blessed. They are blessed. You don't need to go anywhere. Your blessings come to you, provided you do your job with this amount of dedication. So one, having positive attitude is important, but as a trainer, we have to cultivate this attitude in our people. And if I may just share one experience, I may be slightly deviating, but just to tell you how these things have impact on people. I was taking a program, for a set of housekeeping staff in one of the government hospitals. So it was a huge hall and there were around 60, 70 of them. And I was taking a session. There was one person sitting in the front and he was literally looking at me, like staring at me. For a minute, I thought he's not agreeing with what I'm saying. He's not happy. He's really annoyed with whatever I've conducted the program. So when I was winding up my session, I was closing my laptop and packing other things. He came to me and he had tears in his eyes. said, 30 years it's been in my job. Nobody ever explained to me the importance of the work I'm doing. So some people may know it, but some people need to be told about it. So as a trainer, it's our responsibility to bring in this mind shift in our audience. So this is one thing I always emphasize. And second is empathy. What is empathy? What is empathy?
Putting yourself in other person's shoes. Sahanubhuti, sahanubhuti. So feeling the same.
Sahanubhuti is sympathy.
No.
Empathy is anubhuti.
Sympathy is daya. And let's not get into, but basically
yes.
feeling what the other
Right.
person is feeling. Yeah.
You're right. And we don't need daya. We don't need sympathy.
Compassion. It is compassion.
Anubhuti is when you're able to experience the same what the other person is experiencing. If you will go by the Western culture, these people are strictly against saying, I understand what you are going through. Because here patients come up and say, how can you understand what I'm going through? If I'm pregnant and you are not pregnant and you are a man or you are an unmarried person, how do you know what is this experience in pregnancy? So don't use this word, I understand. But of course, in Indian listening context, we use this word very often and it has a huge impact. The moment you tell somebody, I understand what you are going through.
So when
yes.
we practice grief counseling, we are strictly, prohibited from saying this particular phrase that I understand. We say like, I cannot even imagine how you must be feeling. Yeah.
Chandra, because all counseling trainings are primarily based on the Western teaching. But I would not completely agree with this. We have to have our own unique cultural influence. When I say I understand, maybe I understand, not exactly, but that's the way that I can comfort my client. The moment you tell me, ma'am, I can understand what you're going through, even if you're not able to understand, it gives me so much of, satisfaction that there is somebody who is ready to understand me, is trying to understand me. Although I know here we say, I hear you, I can understand, but we are not allowed to use that word, I can understand. But I do not agree with this, phrase particularly. I mean, as long as your client is able to understand that you are trying to see through that, that's good enough. So, ma'am, very rightly said by you, putting yourself in their position. I ask all others to tell me, why do healthcare professionals have difficulty expressing empathy, experiencing empathy and expressing empathy? We find this very often. We are not empathetic. Do you agree with me?
Yes, ma'am.
Actually, we experience 4 emotions. I'll give you example. 1, a patient comes in with a lot of pain. I'm in emergency duty. I'm on emergency duty. I'm busy doing something. Ma'am, dekh lijiye, ha baitho. And then I continue doing what I'm doing. I do not pay attention. I do not leave what I'm doing. I think this is important for me. Let me complete this and then I look at you. This is one of the emotions, and that is apathy. When I'm not able to sense the severity of pain or suffering that the patient is going through. I make him wait for good 10 minutes or 5 minutes. Then I pay attention. Then I say, "Baithiye, doctor aake dekhenge." And then I start doing something. Patient waits for 10 minutes. His attendant comes back to me and says, "Ma'am, 10 minute ho gaye, 15 minute ho gaye. Kya aapka system hai? Aapke doctor hi nahi aate yahan pe to. Kahan hai doctor? Bulaiye unko." And he's little aggressive. Mujhe bura lag raha hai. I'm feeling bad that he's not talking in the right way with me. In the heart of my heart, I say, you will have to wait for another 10 minutes. I'll make sure that you're not seen. This is antipathy. A lady comes with her child. She's crying because her child is not well, has high-grade fever and other health issues. She's crying because of the child's ill health. Seeing her cry, even I start crying. This is sympathy. All these 3 emotions are not required. The emotion that we require in healthcare is empathy. Empathy is where I can see the suffering of my patient and I make all efforts to reduce the suffering, do my best in relieving the patient's pain and whatever his or her health condition. That's empathy. But I want to ask you all, why do we see lack of empathy among people in healthcare?
Maybe also because empathy is a skill and we don't have the skill.
It's a learned skill. I agree with you. Thank you. Thank you, Chandana. What about others?
What I feel is, because in Indian scenario, the workload is high, I feel, because in some locations, since say in government hospitals, the workload is too high actually. So for a doctor or a nurse handling so many patients is practically actually not possible. Unlike in Western countries where they have a limited number of patients they have to see. Even in dentistry, if I could give an example, a dentist can in India can treat if he has a good patient load, he can treat up to say 10 to 12 patients in a day. But that's too much to treat because the dental procedures take more time or not.
Dr. Arjun, I'm sure you may have seen the same thing among doctors in private practice who do not have a huge workload but still lack empathy.
That's true. That's true. That I don't deny. So, but how do we address this issue?
Dr. Arjun, we use this as a cover or as an assumption to save ourselves of the guilt that I am not empathic with my patient. But very honestly, empathy does not require time.
Ma'am,
Empathy
actually,
just one second, let me complete. Empathy is more of a virtue that you need to practice.
Right.
It's a virtue. It doesn't require time. Dr. Anuradha, you raise your hand, and then Dr. Amreen, you wanted to say something. So Dr. Amreen, you can go ahead, and then Dr. Anuradha. Go ahead, please, Dr. Amreen.
Ma'am, what I have felt in residency as the doctors, they do their post-graduation and they look after the patients. I think Tanu madam will also get agree with this. The residents are so much stressed and frustrated with their work and their own life that it becomes their habit to talk in such a way. और एक कहावत है कि जब तक आप खुद उस चीज से नहीं गुजरो तब तक आप सामने वाले को नहीं समझ सकते. तो when we go through that phase, then only we are able to understand what the patient is feeling. So I always tell my staff कि पहले अपने आप को मरीज की जगह रख के सोचो, then only you can understand what they are going through.
I agree with you partly, Amreen, and I disagree with you. I may be frustrated, I may be very tired, then the solution is I better look after myself and bring up my resilience to deal with the situation, then transferring my anger on my patient. Also, we are very smart. If the patient is educated, well-placed, influential, do I give the same behavior? No. We are different. So we choose very mindfully where I can display my anger and my aggression. But yes, they are stressed out. Reason? Because we lack the concept of self-care. And I wish we had time, I could have talked about self-care, which you must speak with your audience because they must learn to look after themselves. But if I do not go much beyond it, I can tell you 3-4 things if you can ensure for your team, wherever you are. One is ask them to take their meals on time. 3 meals a day means 3 meals a day. Sleep and rest, very, very important. They must catch enough sleep. We are not superhuman beings. The body needs rest, body needs sleep. It's a biological need. All your mental and physical wear and tear takes place during sleep. So Amreen, you as a resident, practice it and you will see a change within a month in your performance. And third is look after your emotional health. If you can look after your emotional health, you can deal with any adversity in life. My simplest definition of stress management is stress created by external factors divided by your coping abilities. Stress created by external factors divided by your coping abilities. Denominator बड़ा कर दीजिए, numerator कभी बड़ा हो ही नहीं सकता. And that's what I have practiced all my life, all my life. I still work 18 hours a day without any exhaustion or stress or being upset. Not that I have a static kind of a mood, but then it doesn't go beyond a point. I'm able to bring myself back. Same way, all of you can practice, demonstrate, be a good role model. Bring this as a cultural change in your setup. You can reduce stress of your, yes, as a team leaders, you all must bring the stress of your team down because they are stressed out. But that does not give me right to misbehave with the patient or say, I will serve you, but I will not smile. I will serve you, but I will not look at you. I will serve you, but I will not answer your question. Then better have robots. Dr. Anuradha, and then Dr. Tanu. You have a point to say, Dr. Anuradha. Please go ahead.
Maybe that's because I said it in the last class also that for a patient, it's what he is suffering and going through. I mean, it's a very important thing for him, but then the doctor is seeing the same kind of patients 20, 30 times. I'll give an example of an oncologist, a cancer patient going to an oncologist. For him, it's like a grave issue and he has so many questions. But an oncologist has seen 20 patients of that. I'm not justifying that he's doing the right thing, but then it's something routine for the doctor. And for a patient, it's, it's a lifetime thing that has happened and he doesn't know what will happen to him. So maybe that.
So
I
can we
agree
say
with
that?
Savita, hold on. Dr. Anuradha, I agree with you. Yes, when you're doing anything on regular basis, it becomes more like a rut for you. But then I need to remind myself. I need to create a place where I need to remind myself I cannot deal with this situation.
That's not justifiable at all, but then that's
that can be one of the reasons what you are saying. But I think empathy needs to be integrated right from the beginning in our training. Then the role models that we have around us. I have also seen consultants shouting at their residents who are talking to the patient. You spend so much of time with this patient, and what is this? What is there to talk so much? Write medicine and sending by wasting time. So I know the kind of teaching and training we have. Dr. Savita, you wanted to add some point to Dr. Anuradha's comment?
What I wanted to say was like, see, there could be two ways to look at it. One is, as Madam has already said, it is becoming desensitized. Day in and day out, you're seeing similar cases, so you become desensitized. That is one reason. Mm-hmm. The other could be as a protective, like to protect yourself. Now, I would like to talk here because I was working for 1 year as a special educator where I was working with children with special needs. My initial 6 months, were terrible for me because it was a very new experience. And I was kind of soaking in everything that was happening around me, and it was affecting me. Now, if I want to be a good professional and if I have to be of help to somebody, I can't let myself be affected by what's happening around me. So I need to develop some kind of a kavach around me, right? Now, sadly, that kavach will turn out to be like from the other person's perspective that desensitized. So that kind of an impression it could give. That is how I am not in the medical profession. So I'm just trying to, look at it from their
Dr.
perspective.
Savita, you have voiced many people's voice. This is what I hear from a lot of people, that if we empathize, we attach ourselves. That means we do not have the clear understanding of the term empathy. In empathy, you do not attach yourself. In empathy, you understand, and then your own capacity, what best can you do for the patient to reduce the suffering? That is the objective of empathy. So that means that is sympathy. If you're carrying that baggage with you to your home and you're getting upset, then actually you may be thinking I'm practicing empathy, but it's not empathy, it is sympathy. Because you're getting emotionally attached with the patient. In empathy, you do not emotionally attach yourself with the patient. Chandana will agree with me. We do a lot of counseling, and we get across so many weird, facts from the patients. At times, it can be very shocking. But we actually practice it very mindfully. The moment we get up from our chair, we just shed the thing there, and then we move out. We don't talk about that patient with our family. We don't tell their information or their history or their story to anybody because we don't want to carry them. So that's something, again, it's a skill to be learned. But empathy is very liberating. If you will start practicing empathy, the way you will go home with bubbling with energy, I mean, it's a very different experience. Dr. Tanu, you want to say something? Please go ahead. I think that will be the last comment and then we move to the Sorry to have
Three things
late.
I wanted to, there are 3 points. First has been covered, like as the desensitization. Second is we do not practice empathy because we can get away with it. Like you said, that in private sector, we don't do it. And third thing is, we have this cultural thing where we consider ourselves as superiors. Medical professionals consider themselves as superiors, and they don't think that they do need to,
that's not
treat,
required.
it is not required. And it is also, soft skills are also not part of our curriculum. So we are not taught to, practice empathy or pleasant conversation, or so that's also another part for this.
And also we do not know how to stop a patient who is going for secondary gains, because the moment you will try to be friendly with the patient tries secondary gains, and there you don't know how do you really handle that. Suppose if the patient calls in the middle of night with no good reason, or tries to get some additional privileges which the patient is not entitled to, and then you don't know how to handle that, and then you feel bad. Okay, what is this? Why is this patient clinging to me? But that means, and that we will learn when we will talk about assertion. We learn at length. I don't have to be rude with the patient when I want to say no. But empathy has its own value. Assertion is required when the patient tries for secondary gains, and both have their own importance. And we will talk about both of them. But having said that, empathy is a very empowering skill, very empowering, very liberating, very. It's a cognitive process. It's not an emotional process. Sympathy is an emotional process. That is why you carry that baggage with you. I'll just show you 2 slides to help you understand the difference between the empathy and sympathy. Anybody else has to say anything about it? Anything, any point from your side before I'll quickly show you these slides so that you have more clarity on what we exactly mean by empathy and how is it different.
You have
Please go ahead.
already mentioned regarding the lack of self-care, and that's what is my observation as well, that the burnout in regard healthcare professional is very high, and they are not even aware about it, and they don't know how to tackle it.
Completely. I completely agree with you. And I think that is one of the reasons why we have transfer of anger on others, because we are, frustrated, tired, and exhausted, and we don't know how to handle that. And then we have a tendency to look for soft targets and, transfer our anger and frustration on them. Okay. So give me 1 second to move on to slideshow. Yeah. Okay. We have talked about the attitude part. We have discussed empathy. We have discussed, but I want to show you those 2 slides. Okay. Now you see the difference between empathy and sympathy is empathy is non-spontaneous. Sympathy is spontaneous. If you are watching a movie or a program where the hero dies, so even if we know that it's just a movie or an act, we still start crying, because that's how the human brain has been wired. The emotional mind has been wired. We are not able to differentiate between real and real. So that's spontaneous. Empathy is non-spontaneous. It's an intellectual process. It's an advanced level of cognition. It is effortful. One has to do it mindfully. There has to be understanding. It is not feeling, but it is actually understanding. And then also it's a cognitive behavior, whereas sympathy is a effective behavior. Empathy creates separateness. So Dr. Savita, as you were saying that I was upset for 6 months, that means I was not practicing sympathy. I was practicing sympathy. I was not practicing empathy. So sympathy creates closeness. You tend to attach yourself with the patient, feel bad for them, feel upset for them. You carry that baggage with you. Again, empathy is a neocortex process. Sympathy is a limbic process. It's a learned behavior. Sympathy is more like an innate and genetically produced. Empathy is parasympathetic. Sympathy is sympathetic, inhibitory and excitatory. energy saving. I think this should tell us that if you are not going to drain energy, whether you are going to get energy. And also it reduces your burnout. On the other side, it's a vicarious trauma and it's likely to create more burnout and pain. So I wanted to show you a short video very quickly before we end this session here. There's one slide that I always show. Let me see if I can show you. Yeah, you can have a look at this. And I always say, like one of you said, you can only understand once you have gone through it. So personally, I have felt that disease and death, I didn't know they were very scary. I realized it when I lost some of my dear ones. And that changed my attitude towards, life and death. I don't wish anything of that sort for anybody, but at the same time, I feel that these experiences really make us more human and kind and compassionate towards people. So let me show you a small video. Maybe you've already seen it a couple of times, but I usually use this as one of the ending videos of my session, one of the sessions. So you can also use it in your sessions.
That's a beautiful video.
It's Cleveland video. Yeah, I recognized it. We have created a similar video for our cancer center. I'll share it with you. It's quite similar.
That's so good. That's so nice. And every time I show this video to in any of my program, I see a lot of my audience, little in tears, because it really, helps them understand the importance of understanding what others are going through. And this video is available on YouTube, so you can download and use it in your programs. Okay, so with this, we come to the end of session 2, moving forward with the next topic, that is developing a successful training program. So before we start with this session, I want to understand, how many of you feel that, yes, we require a session on how do you design a successful program? Raise your hand. Do we require a session on this? Okay, because many of you are already trainers. You are seasoned trainers. So I was wondering, will they be really needing this session? But just to again, maintain the outline of the program, that this is what we are delivering in the program, I thought we must talk about how do you go about designing a program. I've been doing training for years together. In between, there came a time when I felt, no, I want to understand how do you go about doing it in depth. I went and attended a program by Dale Carnegie. And I spent almost like 45,000 rupees, almost like 10 years ago. It was a 3 days program. And now I think they're charging anything like 75,000 rupees. It was a 3 days program, and it talked all about how do you go about designing a program and facilitating a program. And that's very important, because it's important to know what is the right way of designing a program. If you know these steps, you will not forget it. So those of you who are thinking of getting into training as a profession, for you, it's going to be a wonderful input. And if you don't know, then it's going to be a great structure for all of you. Those of you who are not going to be trainers themselves, but then you have trainings going on under you, again, it's going to be of great help, because you would know what is the right way of designing a program. So even if your staff is doing it for you, wherever they are missing anything, you will know the important steps in it, and you will be able to integrate and give your input how you want to really go about it. So it's going to be helpful, not only just doing the training yourself, but if the trainings are being designed under your care or coordination, then it's a good input for all of you. So let me quickly ask you a couple of questions around it. What challenges, sorry, Dr. Tanu, you wish to say something?
Just before we move to this, I have one query regarding the last session. How do you address the patient? Like, of course, body language and everything, but how do you address the patient by name? Like we tend to say beta or baba or sir. So what is what would be the right way to it?
Very good question. So if I go by what is being practiced in India, we all have this practice of, if you are young, then if the person is little, of parents' age, so we say uncle, auntie. But if you ask me professionally, it's always good to call by name, but it's always good idea to add G, Rakesh Ji, Ramesh Ji. So when you call them by name, it tells them that you may be younger in age, but in position, you hold a position in the system. So for example, if I am on the front desk, or I'm a nurse on duty, or I'm a resident, so instead of calling Uncle Ji and Auntie Ji, because the moment I'll call Uncle Ji and Auntie Ji, the person will have a tendency to call beta. And that will take me away from my professional relationship. So if I say Rakesh Ji, Ramesh Ji, so I'm calling by name and I'm adding Ji. A lot of time patients have objected, आपने मुझे uncle कैसे बोल दिया, मैं आपको uncle लगा रहा हूँ. So again, not a good idea. So, and if we call Mr. Ramesh, Mr. Rakesh, I think in our culture, patients are not used to this kind of addressing. So they'll feel, what is this Mr.? I'm not Mr. So this is what is my understanding. Others can share their thoughts if they differ on my observation. Okay? But thank you, Dr. Tanu, for asking this question. Thank you. Thank you. So how are you designing your programs right now? If you could write in the chat box, or I think writing in chat box will become too lengthy. Maybe one of you can share, how are you designing your program right now? What is your, like when you think of a program, how do you design a program?
May I answer this? Yeah, because when we again, like from my kind of a background, we organize something called as faculty development programs. So those are kind of training programs. So it is basically trying to go back to the audience and see what is their background and how well whatever topic we need to communicate, or what would be their level of understanding. So for example, tomorrow I'm going to conduct a 3-hour session for sponsored by AICTE. So I'm going to speak to colleges, professors who are working in engineering colleges, but then I'm going to talk to them on a topic, say it is global issues. Now this is a management topic and they won't know. So for me, I need to know my audience, where are they coming from? And if I am going to talk to them something which is new to them, I have to put it across in a way that they will understand it in the most simplest manner.
Wonderful.
So that is the level that I would be going at.
Sure. Thank you.
That's
Thank you.
audience analysis. Thank you.
Thank you. So Dr. Kunal has said we check for audience and duration and timing. Very good. Okay. Dr. Shehrbanu says, I see a lot of mistakes in my working place. I list all those things and observe, and then that is not okay. And I should check level of audience. Okay. So that means you first identify what inputs the audience needs. So based on that, you design your program. And then my timings and the most important thing. Very good. Any other thought if you would like to put in the chat box? Okay.
Can I?
Yeah,
speak
Chandan,
now?
please. Yeah, sure.
So, I also conduct some of the training programs for faculty development programs and also, teachers training programs. So what I normally do is like yes, of course, their background is important, what kind of, program I'm conducting. But one thing I'm always constant in is experiential learning. Like I plan activities, because what I feel, if I only lecture, if I only introduce the theories and everything, it is never going to help. They will forget immediately, they get out of the hall. So I always plan activities according to their profession, according to their background, so that they can understand what I'm trying to convey. So that is one thing I have been
Very
always
good.
constant. Yeah, but I'm keen to learn more things from you here. So yeah.
Sure. So Dr. Anuradha has been, into training for years together. And any input that you want to give, Dr. Anuradha, here? How do you, because you design a lot of programs, yeah.
Yes. So when I was doing it earlier at PHFI, what we were doing is we were identifying a training need, then identifying the existing programs, what are there, and then breaking them into topics, and then identifying the faculty who will be the right person to deliver. Now I'm into a training, we are doing it a little differently. It's a clinical training. What we do is to make it interesting, we've made it case-based. So we asked for a field-based problem that the participant have identified. They bring that case, and we base our session on that particular case and build the theory also on that. So that is a practical learning and also a theoretical, as Dr. Channa also said, not making it only a lecture, but then taking that case and then describing it through that. So that is
wonderful. Thank you for your input. I think Dr. Kunal had written something. Okay, try to make it participative. For junior staff also role plays to demonstrate the mistakes and make them accept. Then the corrected version is also done by them. Very good. I think they're very good. This is what we are actually, trying to make our trainings useful and meaningful for the audience. So I'm going to give you a small structure. You're free to add more points to it from your experience, from your expertise. But the idea is, if I know these steps clearly, I will not miss on anything. So let me quickly share the screen with you and share the presentation and have the discussion around it. Give me 1 second. Okay, so as you have shared your experience that this is how you are designing your programs, what challenges are you experiencing when you are designing a program? Are you facing some challenges? If you can write in the chat box, what challenges are you experiencing when you're designing a program? Okay. Audience expectations not met. Very, very good. Time constraint. Yes, time is a very important this thing. Making audience understand the seriousness of the issue and more receptive. Yes, audience will not be interested and become tired. Yes, very often this is what you will see. How to deliver more in less time. Again, very nice. Less participation. Identification of right topics is very important, and I think that's another challenge to decide what topic will suit in for what audience. Very good. I think these are very very honest and true submissions by all of you, that these challenges I think all of us face at one or the other point of time. So I think we'll go about understanding how do you really make sure that you can make best possible program at your end. So most important is to first of all identify who is your client. So as a master trainer, maybe you will be invited by an organization to do a training program for their staff. So in that case, management who has approached you is your client, but your client is also the participants who are going to attend the program. If the same program is being done by you in your own organization, then your audience becomes your client. But then you have to keep in mind the organizer and participants both are our clients when we are designing a program, and we have to keep both of them in our mind while designing the program. So what are their usual expectations? For example, if you are going as a trainer to any organization, you're not part of the system. So what are their usual expectations? Write in the chat box if you want. Write in the chat box because that will help us get more ideas. What are their usual expectations? Knowledge plus fun, helpful, practical training which is applicable to their work, change the attitude. Yes, I think this is what especially the organizers would have this expectation from you. Have a magic wand, move it around and change my stuff. Organizers' expectation applicable to work. Is the purpose met? Everyone thinks the trainer has a magic wand to set everything right, very right. Okay, it should be relevant and focused. Yes, very true. That's true. And then that they will learn it in one go without practicing. Yes, that's also another expectation the organizers will have. Very true. And there will be an impact. Okay, they expect that there should be an immediate impact and there should be an immediate change behavior. Whereas behavior modification is something very slow, takes time, and it requires a number of other inputs. So initially when I started doing program, I started making it very clear to the people who are organizing that it's more like a sensitizing people. It's not like you have a magic wand that you can change completely, and for bringing a behavior change you require more long-term association, long-term working with the audience so that they are able to not only learn but also apply and discuss their bottlenecks with you when it comes to actually what changes, whatever changes they are trying to implement. Now if we understand the designing of the program step by step, I think we'll be able to make it a more impactful. For example, the first thing that, like many of you have said, identify their training needs. So identifying their training needs could be, if you're part of the system, like Dr. Shehrbano said, that she observes her team. So you would know what your team requires, or Dr. Kunal or Dr. Arjun, who are working with the hospital setup, you will know what your team requires. So you would know what all areas I need to focus on. But if you are going as an outside trainer, their assessing training needs become challenges. So it's always a good idea to ask the person who has invited you for conducting a training program, what challenges are you facing with this team? What are the issues that you want me to address in the program? So if you will ask them to list those things down, you will know that this is what are the challenges that the management is facing, and that is why they're asking for the training need. If you get a chance to do a training need assessment, nothing like it. But I'm not sure how many of you will really get a chance to do a formal training need assessment. But if you can do it, it's a wonderful way. You can give them some questionnaire to see their knowledge or to see their practices. You could even do observation on-site observation. You could even send, a mystery client to see how they're handling and what is the gap in between the requirement. So there are multiple ways to do the training need assessment, but I'm really not very sure how many organizations will be really willing to do this in a systematic manner. Now, based on the training needs that you have identified and the expectations of the organizers, now you need to develop your program. So the very important thing that I always insist on, and maybe Anuradha, you found it little, I used to always call you and ask you, tell me about the audience. Tell me who all are going to attend. Now what I do, I ask for an Excel sheet. I say, tell me who all are going to attend. I want to know their qualification. I want to know the number of years of their experience. Can you please mute your device? Somebody's device is, yeah. Thank you. So if you know the audience, their qualification, professional background, years of experience, it will help you know whom you are going to deliver the session for. Because then you can customize the session as per your. So always ask for an Excel sheet with these couple of things: their age, number of years of experience, qualification, years of service. So that will help you give you an idea what kind of audience you're going to meet. Step one is now develop your training objectives. So when you're going to deliver a program, you need to have what you are going to deliver. So you need to have a set of training objectives that you have on your mind, that this is what I want to deliver to my audience. So that will be based on the training needs and the expectations of the organization that you have already discussed or found out. Based on that, now, for example, if you are a seasoned trainer, if you have been into training for years together, the moment somebody will tell you, ma'am, do a program on this, you will have ideas coming out of your mind. Oh, I can talk about this, I can do this activity, I can talk. So create a bucket list of points that come to your mind. In case if you are starting something new that you need to do, then it's a good idea to Google search. If you will Google search on that topic, you will get a lot of new ideas, new content, new information that will help you in bringing about issues that you need to address in your program. But those of you who are seasoned trainers, I'm sure you will already have a flowing list of topics or points that you would like to bring in the program. So I use a tool called eDraw MindMaster. You can see on this thing, and you can note down with you. eDraw MindMaster. It's a wonderful tool. It's a wonderful tool. It has both paid and free version. I'm using free version, which is of great help and more than enough for our level of program. But if later on, if you want to go for a paid version, that's your choice. I just share the screen to tell you how does it look like and how do I use it. Give me 1 second to see if I can. I had kept this thing open to show all of you. Yeah. Is it visible? So eDraw Master is something like, it's like a whiteboard for you. So whatever ideas come to your mind, just put them. So you can see here I have one main idea, and these are all connected ideas. And on the left side, you can see a lot of floating ideas. So usually what I do, I create floating ideas first. I'll do whatever comes to my mind related to the program, check the size of the audience, or check the resources available, whatever. I would be writing all those points in this so that I don't miss on anything. And then this is what initially it looks like. Slowly, when I start having clarity, then I start, linking it with my main idea. And then I also change the order. Maybe I can drag it from here to here in case if I think this comes first or this comes later. So this is how I would, initially kind of create a whiteboard for my work, and then start connecting these ideas to the, 1 second. Yeah. So use this tool. You can download it from the Play Store on your laptop. And it's a very useful tool. I use it not only for training program. If I have to do critical thinking or creative thinking on any issue, That is how I, design my thought process. I put it in black and white. Now you have to create a flow in the content. After you have had a lot of ideas, you have written it there. Now you are going to create a flow in the content, that what will go in the beginning. That means how are you going to start? Then what is going to be the body, the message that you want to give? And then how are you going to end it? And then takeaway. Of course, we'll be talking about it in detail in the next session. Then we will talk about the facilitation skills. But here you are going to at least know what topics or issues are you going to discuss in the body, what is going to be the ending, and how are you going to begin your session or begin your topic. Simultaneously, now you need to develop and customize your pedagogies. This is very important. We need to have very clear understanding of what am I going to use as at my beginning of the session? What am I going to use as energizer in between? What am I going to use to, do an activity about? What questionnaires can I use at what place? So what again I do here, I would have a bucket list of activities. So in that bucket list, I would have everything, something like role plays, questionnaires. Just 1 second. Yeah, experience sharing, storytelling, rapid fire round, puzzles, group activities, videos, and anything more that you think you want to add into. So always have a bucket list of these things right in front of you, because now you know what resources you have for your session. Then from there you can, and all of this we are going to practice as pedagogies in the time to come. So it's not just theory, we are going to talk about it at length and learn it from each other when all of you will be making presentations around it. Now integrate these pedagogies or these activities with the flow of your content. So maybe for a particular topic, a rapid fire round will be a good beginning topic, or storytelling can be a good good starting point, or some energizer in between. So you will have to very mindfully integrate to make sure that your beginning and end are superb, but your in between also, it is engaging and it is not just the PowerPoint presentation or one-way lecture. Because the moment you will make it like this, they're going to go dull. Once you have actually designed the outline, now develop your course material. So I'm sure at the end of the day, you would like to give them some handout, or if it's a very extensive program, you would like to give them a handbook that you would like them to read. It's always a good idea to make a concise one-page handout to give to your audience so that they can revisit it. Because we forget 80% of what we learn within 24 hours if we have nothing to, revise. And a lot of time you will see your audience will not be noting down any points. So that means if they have a handout, they'll be able to have a look at it after the session is over. Besides this, develop your questionnaires for pre-test, for post-test, and feedback, and any other questionnaire that you think you want to use as a self-reflection questionnaire. Keep them also ready for your program. Execute the training. Execution part we are going to discuss in the next session, so I'm not spending much time on it. After you have executed your training, it's important to take feedback, because taking feedback will give you an idea what you need to improve on. And we need to be really, really open to the idea of improving ourselves. I think that's the only way to make your program successful. And not only program successful, any service that you're providing, if you take your audience or your clients' feedback seriously and try to integrate that feedback in your future services and programs, that's the best way to improve the quality of your services. And I think that goes even for the healthcare services that we provide. Evaluate your training. So besides getting the feedback, read the feedback carefully and also reflect on your training. How have you done as a trainer? Because we need to evaluate ourselves. I'm not saying be very critical, but never go with the idea that I know the best and I'm doing the best. There's always a scope to improve. Like for example, a lot of us have challenge with time. Do you time your session? It's very important, because if you're not able to time your session, you will not know how much can you really give. So either you need to cut down on the topic or the content, or you need to look for more time. Like for example, from the last session and rather the 3 programs that we have run by now, I have had a feeling that I have a lot of content which I think is important. So I thought, should we increase the time? I'm taking your feedback, and if it goes with in favor of increasing the time, then I will not cut down the content. Suppose if you had said, ma'am, we need to keep it 2 hours, 2 hours is good enough, and we can cut down on the content, then I would have gone on cutting down the content, but keeping the time as like 2 hours. So this kind of feedback really helps in improving the quality of your session. Now, some of the things that you need to consider when you're designing each session. For example, who is your audience? So if it's consultants, residents, nurses, front desk staff, housekeeping staff, it's going to be very different, because with each time, with each set of audience, you need to have an absolutely different set of session or the program, because it's very important to, as I said, important to know your audience, because then you will be able to customize it as per your audience. Another important thing is, how willing is your audience? So quickly write in the chat box, how many of you, experience this challenge when it comes to willingness of the audience, especially when you're doing in-house program, or even, when you're going to do a program for any other organization. So what challenges do you experience on this front? How willing is the audience? Do you find audience willing, not willing? Yes, sometimes audience are nominated for organizations and it's mandatory for them to attend, and then it becomes very challenging but then it becomes interesting to see how you are able to, create that interest. Okay, sometimes they take it as a break from routine. Very right, I agree with you. A lot of them take it like, oh, good that we are away from our what more. Sometimes they are attending to get away from work. Again, very right. Management is willing, but audience is not willing. Very true. Usually it is the management who will ask you for the program, but not the audience. I completely agree with you. So initial 500 programs that I did, I think I shared with all of you how I got into this program. It was by the initiative of the Undersecretary, of Delhi Administration Health Department. Okay, I designed my program keeping this in mind, and they are reluctant, and I have to give them a new perspective. Chandana, I completely agree with you, and I think this is one of the best ways to design your program in a manner that the program right from the beginning can catch their attention. And when they join with the training need in mind, it strikes right. Very good. So a lot of time what I do, when I know they have not come with any expectation, when they have not come with any idea, so how do I make them realize? I share my experience with you. Okay, as the training processes, they feel comfortable and start enjoying. Very good. So what I do, a lot of time when I see the audience has come without any interest, but I want to help them know that that's not the right way of doing it. So I ask them, how many of you are fond of window shopping? So some people will definitely raise their hand. I'm fond of window shopping. So, okay, you say, okay, come along. So you call one of the participants that you think is active. Take that person with you. And people are sitting in front of you. And even if it's an online program, I'll say, okay, these 3-4 people, let's assume that we are in a mall. We have gone shopping, and these are the people who are selling some product. They may be selling a phone or a notebook and a pen or some stationery or maybe a bag. So let's go window shopping. So we would go from one shop to another, and we'll interact with the shopkeeper. But because we are window shopping, we are not going to buy anything. So we'll just look at the watch. Okay, how much is this watch? Very nice, very nice. What is the cost? Oh, it's very expensive. No. I don't think I can buy it. I'll come next time. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, ma'am, how much is this phone? And like this, we will go to one and the second and the third and the fourth shop. And then I'll say, okay, now imagine we have come out of the mall. Now you suddenly realize that when you were looking at the watch or at the phone, you left your bag somewhere. You had a handbag in your hand and you left your bag somewhere. Now that means it is somewhere on any one of the shops. Let's go back and now search for our bag. So I'll ask that person, if you have lost something, how would you go? Will you be relaxed, cool, or you'll be really keen to, get your bag back? So naturally that person will say, no, my bag is lost, so I have to get my bag back. Okay, let's go back to the shops once again. And then we go back to the shopkeeper and say, sir, I came here to looking for this watch, and I had my bag in my hand. I think I left in your shop. Can you please see if it is left somewhere? Naturally, the person will say, no, it is not there. Then we'll go to the second shop, then we'll go to the third shop, then go to the fourth shop. And naturally, in every shop, the shopkeeper will say, no, I don't have it, or I have it, or whatever it is. Then I ask my audience, did you see any difference in the person's behavior? The person who was with me looking for the bag. So naturally, people will say there was eagerness, there was, humbleness, there was desire to get that bag. She was missing her bag, whatever they say. I say, if you come for a program without any learning objectives, you have come window shopping. Never sit in a program window shopping. I, as a trainer, can give you anything and go back. Don't let me go back like this. You should have an objective. You should come with a purpose. And if I'm teaching you something that's not making sense, you must ask me, you must clarify. You must check me, ma'am, this is something not related to our work. Why are you teaching us this? When you make them do this, I have done this a number of times, even in IIM Ahmedabad, with very senior audience. All doctors, consultants, very well placed in there. And they suddenly become very, that humbleness comes in. Oh. So that's how you have to sometimes, start your session in this manner. A lot of time I start my session in this manner when I see the audience is not interested. Then I'll say, okay, sit down and tell me your learning objectives. Tell me, what do you want to learn? At least one objective. Now, since you know there has to be a learning objective, write one learning objective. Trust me, most of them come up with beautiful learning objectives because you have brought them. So that's how, what I'm trying to say, you'll have to really, really, make sure that you are able to bring them to ground sometimes, because when they are not interested, creating interest and seriousness is also our responsibility. So I can't just say the audience was not willing, so what do I do? If audience is not, assume, I agree with Chandana, assume that your audience is not willing. And I think most of you will agree with me. Because training and teaching has never been considered an important integral part of growth. And people think we are happy where we are. Why the hell should I grow? So that's also our responsibility to create that interest. Another important point is audience size. So what is the ideal audience size do you recommend? I want to ask, if you could write in the chat box, what is the, according to you, what is the ideal audience size? Okay, 10, 1 to 20, okay. 1:20, sorry, okay. Okay. Any other? Yes, any other estimation? Like you are doing programs, okay, 15 to 20, lesser audience size, better quality. Okay, okay, maybe 10 to 20. Okay, I don't want more than 25, but this is not possible in many cases. I agree, Chandana, I agree with you. So if you are given an option, ask them not to have more than 25 people. Like for this program, Master Trainer program, I had decided that it doesn't have to be more than 10 to 12 people. But I completely agree. It's sometimes not in your control. Sometimes they insist on doing a program for a large audience. But then give them a word of caution. It's going to be more of a webinar and not a real hands-on training. Real hands-on training can be done very well with 20 to 25 people. But like This kind of program, I think I would say, don't have more than 10 to 15 people, because then you want to engage everybody. Otherwise, what will happen? There are few participants who are active participants. They will take the lead. And sometimes others who are not very active, they will become just mute spectator or mute audience. That's not desirable. But audience size, yes, I have had a chance, like for example, Center for Sight recently asked me to do a program for them, and that was like 70 people across the country. And I told them that it's not a hands-on training. They said, ma'am, we have people on all across and we want to do programs like this. I said, it's your choice. But then I wouldn't be able to really engage everyone, because you cannot see more than 25 people in single screen on your monitor. So that's the maximum you can consider. Then of course, mode of training. I think this question was not there 2 years ago. It was always on site, always in person, but now mode of training has changed. Skype, Google Meet, Zoom. So it's wonderful. We have to get used to it. We have to become comfortable with it. So again, when you're designing your pedagogies, designing your training, activities, keep in mind, if it is done online, then how do I engage my audience? But we can't say that because it was Zoom, so it was webinar, so it was, in any training and every training you can integrate activities. You have to be really creative with finding the different pedagogies. Then also an important thing you have to remember is the available time and allotted time. So I'll share two experiences here. I remember I used to be called for conferences and they would say, ma'am 8 minute बोलना है, 12 minute बोलना है. And I'll say कि 12 minute में मैं communication के बारे में क्या बताऊंगी? And I used to actually refuse. Okay, no, it's not possible. Then later on, I realized in conferences, it is not like you are going to do a training. In conferences, you are going to more like, talk about the topic or the issue. And I learned it. I actually started writing the content. I started recording my content. And if it is 12 minutes and if it is going to 13 minutes, I'll cut down on the content, re-record and see if I can finish in 12 minutes. And this is what exactly happened in one of the international conferences. We were 5 panelists. Each one was given 10 minutes and 10 minutes for the discussion. So it was a 1 hour session for 5 of us. So I was probably second or third speaker. So I had practiced my content so well that 9.5 minutes, my content was done. I was, done with my presentation. Whereas some of the participants had hardly introduced their topic in that 9-10 minutes. But the protocol was your PPT will go off the line if you have crossed 10 minutes. So many of them could not complete their topic. They could not complete their content because they had not utilized the time. So it's very important to time yourself and fine-tune yourself with the allotted time. And that's a beautiful learning. I think this is one of the biggest learning I've had. How do you really, adjust within because you will have a lot of content because you are a trainer. Not everything has to be given in that training, but pick up. And here again, I'm sure you all must have heard about that elevator pitch. Have you heard of elevator pitch? How many of you have heard of elevator pitch? Raise your hand, please. Not all of us. So I think I can share this with all of you because it's an important thing. So it's a saying. I don't know how far it is true or untrue. I don't know. But there's a story that goes, because now a lot of stories come around Ratan Tata, because he's become he's known for his humility, for his dedication, for his patriotism. So there's a story that goes around it. It says that Ratan Tata had given time to somebody to make a presentation on the investment that person was looking for, some project. So incidentally, Ratan Tata was in a meeting and then he got occupied in that meeting. It was a very serious issue that they were working on, and it the time that he had allotted for this person, that got kind of consumed for the previous meeting, and he had another important meeting to attend. So when he comes out of his conference hall, this gentleman is waiting outside, and he profusely, apologizes to this person that I'm really sorry. It was something very important. I couldn't have, come out of this thing, but we have 7 minutes time from here to my car. And if you can, tell me about your project in those 7 minutes. And if I am, and Amita, okay. So if you can tell me about your project in those 7 minutes, if I like it, I'm definitely going to give you time to come back and explain me further. And that man was so well prepared that in that 7 minutes time, he presented his outline or the format or the objective of the program, that his program got accepted, and then ultimately he was funded by Tata. So that's how we have to prepare our session. Suddenly, if somebody says you have just 10 minutes, or you have just 15 minutes, or you have just half an hour, you can't say, okay, I'll cover whatever I can cover in half an hour, rest will be covered in the next class. A lot of time I think in my program, probably this is the only chance I'm meeting these people. I'll never get to meet again. And actually that's true, especially when you will do trainings for other organizations. You will not get to meet them again and again, unless they have hired you for full 1 year. So there you really need to remember, give your best. Make sure that you leave an impact on them. And that's where your timing and your, elevator pitch will really come handy. Okay. Resources available. Again, very important thing. I think it's always a good idea if you're going to do a program for any organization or even for your organization, on-site program, always have some of the resources spelled out very clearly. For example, in my case, I would say have a name written on the chit or a kind of a cardboard, and let that be pinned to their chest on the left side, so that you can call them by name. Having a whiteboard is a good idea, because you can write some keywords or some words that are difficult, and you need to write the spelling, or some unfamiliar words that people have not heard of. Now, for example, if I had said eDraw Mindmaster, probably some of you would understand, some of us may not understand. So if it is written, it is easy. Or if you're writing what a name of the book or an author, again, if you can write on the whiteboard. Having a wall clock opposite you is a good idea, especially to begin with, so that you have a good control on the time. I normally keep a wristwatch in front of me when I'm doing an online program, so that I know how much time I'm left with, so I can, accordingly summarize when we are close to the time. So be sure to tell about these resources for your activities. If you want to tell about the resources, you can mention, ask them to arrange for example, I do very often I do an activity with balloons and pin. And rather, maybe you have seen some of the programs where I do.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
So when I talk about ego problem, I make them, blow a balloon. Usually it is towards the end of the session. So I'll make them blow a balloon, and I'll give them a pin, and I'll say, okay, do whatever you feel like doing with this pin and balloon. So you'll see people usually going and pinning others' balloons because they want to, puncture others' balloon. And the message then I give it is that, okay, see, this is how we have a tendency to puncture others' ego and hurt others. We should refrain from. So whatever activities you have on your mind, ask them to arrange the resources. Sitting arrangement is also very important. Preferably don't have straight classroom kind of a sitting. That's, I think, the worst arrangement. Always have a table, preferably round table, and have 4 to 5 people around one table. I think that for me, that has really worked very well. Recently, like for Maulana Azad Medical College, I've been doing program for almost 10 years. But this year when I went, I felt that the sitting arrangement they do is not okay. I changed the training sitting arrangement, and it really worked for me. So be innovative in finding what will work for you. But resources, you always have to be prepared with what you really require. Anything else besides this? On this before I move to the next part? Anything that comes to anybody's mind? Yeah, cluster sitting is better. I completely agree with you, Dr. Rakshita. Okay, buffer time for technical glitches. Yes, very right. You need to have that time. I will be talking about it in the next session, but thank you for bringing this up. Yes. We'll bring this
We can
up.
have motivators also when we are conducting sessions, especially group activities.
So, I mean, you are looking for champions in the group?
No, we motivators, like, like rewards.
Okay.
Especially when we are,
Something to kind of motivate them. Agreed.
Yes.
Yeah, some prize maybe or something. That is a good idea.
Even some appreciations.
Appreciation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, definitely. So just to remind you that couple of these questions you must answer before you complete your master trainer program, because this will help you in getting ready for the next leap. First thing, what kind of programs can we offer in healthcare? So from today onwards, start thinking, making a list. What all programs can we offer? It could be for the doctors, for nurses, for front desk staff, or whatever that comes to your mind. And what can be the topics that you can offer for this audience? So who all can be your audience? Then list of topics that you think you would like to introduce. So it's not just about healthcare communication. For example, very often, and I'm looking forward to emotional intelligence, leveraging emotional intelligence in healthcare. I think that's one topic that must be on the list. Leadership skills for senior consultants. Faculty development program should have something like how do you create a high performing team, or how do you use constructive feedback, or how do you resolve conflicts. So they are not exactly communication topics, but they are very important for the kind of audience you'll be dealing. So keep making a list and expanding it as per your expertise and your niche area. Then those who are starting their career as a trainer, where to start and how to gain confidence. Any ideas about it? Especially those who are going to begin their journey as a master trainer in healthcare. So where to start and how to gain confidence? So as a recommendation, what I would say, if you are thinking of doing master trainer, becoming a trainer in healthcare communication, I'll say start practicing with your existing audience with whom you are comfortable. So for example, with nurses, with front desk staff, with housekeeping staff, start picking up these topics, developing communication competencies, or what is the importance of communication or relevance, and some more topics that we are going to cover in the time to come, and start practicing here. I did, as I said earlier also, I did 500 programs with government sector doctors and nurses and paramedical staff. So that gave me a lot of, understanding of what challenges they're facing, what all I need to include in my presentation. So start with whatever is your present audience, and then slowly you can go do outbound trainings also. Then how to pitch your program. I still wonder on how do you go about pitching your program. Honestly, I haven't done it, so I really want to understand from all of you, how do you go about pitching your program? If anybody can share their experience, how do you go about pitching your program? Because as of now, I have never gone to anybody and said, okay, I'm a trainer, I do all this. It's usually people when they get in touch with me, okay, we have heard about you, or we have seen your website. But any okay, Dr. Rakshita says never done. I agree with you. I understand. Anybody who would like to share their thought process? How do you go about pitching your program? No. No idea. So we are not good into marketing ourselves. Yeah.
Ma'am, my idea, I'm not, it's just an idea and more like an impulse. So it's like, I think I would approach hospital management and, make them aware why it is important and how it is going to help them. Regarding their service and quality of service and everything, and also how it can reduce conflicts in healthcare. So I think that's how I'm going to approach.
Definitely, I think that's a good idea. Like, for example, on your own, you can initiate, communication with various hospitals around you where you can offer your services. Personally, I have felt, please pardon me for my opinion, and I'm not asking you to agree with me. Every time I would talk about my program, I lose value, I feel, in my own eyes. It looks, I mean, I'm begging for work. So I don't know. This is I'm honestly, talking to you. So what I have seen, what works for me, what has worked for me. Okay, Dr. Anuradha, you want to say something? Go ahead, please. Then I'll say.
Maybe an idea could be, asking the hospitals to take a patient feedback and then do an analysis of what are the patient feedback. So basic main things would come out to be communication issues from the doctors, from the nurses, and then we can tell the hospital, see, these are the issues that your own hospital is facing and patients are saying that. So why not work on it? And training is the thing that you can, that is the way
We
of
will
one.
never be open to the idea of somebody coming from outside and observing their patient interaction or patient satisfaction. Nobody, I think that's one of the biggest reasons why there is no research being done in this subject.
Right.
We don't have much research in this subject just because we don't want to explore the challenges or the bottlenecks of our,
own systems. Yes.
That's the thing. This is what is but yes, what I have seen, like Dr. Preeta, I agree with you. A lot of word of mouth helps get you work. In my case, I'll say honestly, that's the only thing that has worked for me. That's
But
the only thing.
But ma'am, for that to work, we have to start somewhere.
Yeah. That's what I said, Chandana. Like I did. I will be talking about the money part in a while. Initial 500 training programs I did for just 2,000 rupees. Just 2,000 rupees. The idea was that was a niche area, unexplored, uncharted road. There was nobody on that. I said, I want to. My family used to laugh at me. You're going every day to a hospital just for 2,000 rupees. Whereas sitting in my own clinic, in my chamber, I charge 3,000 rupees as 1 hour consultation for my counseling sessions. I said, I am being paid for my petrol and my learning. Even if I had to pay from my pocket to learn it, I would have paid. Only then you can learn. But those 500 trainings have made such a strong foundation that I know I can handle. That has to be the, level of dedication. So initially, even if you're not paid, do as many programs, even for your own organization, wherever you are. By bringing change in their behavior and attitude, you will be able to get recognition from your management that okay, you have done such a good program for your staff and there is a change in their behavior. But initially, as of now also, I don't know, because the problem is most of the big hospitals have in-house trainers and they are paying them like 25, 30, 40,000 rupees for full-time training, who are doing 9 to 4 training, batch after batch after batch after batch. So who will take you or me as a trainer paying 20,000 rupees for 1 day program? That's not cost effective for them. Am I right or wrong?
Absolutely.
So initially you'll have to create place for yourself. Dr. Tanu, you want to say something? Please go ahead.
I am not sure whether people actually know that trainers for healthcare communication are available. Because when I saw your thing on LinkedIn, I was like taken aback. I said, oh my God, this is available. So I think it is also, like you said, I don't like to, it's like going and asking people for work. But it is also about creating awareness that this kind of facility is available. Unless we make people aware about it, how are they going to
That's what I'm saying. Go ahead. And like Dr. Chandana is saying that she would like to go and, pitch herself. Go ahead. I'll be happy if you do that. I'll be really happy because we have to create awareness. And I think the whole idea of creating a pool of master trainers is that there'll be more people visible in the healthcare system so that people know that healthcare communication is a branch in itself.
So, ma'am, that's what my idea is. Also, what Tanu ma'am was saying. As you know, I have also talked about it in my first session. You know, me as a daughter of a doctor, in fact, I have faced a lot of situation because you know I used to grow up in a doctor's colony. So the conflict is so common in hospital. So like it has affected me as a child, and that's the reason I am so very interested in this particular course. So what I have, but after so many years, you know, there is still no training for clinical communication, at least this part of India. So that's the reason somebody has to give the awareness to these people. Otherwise, I mean, and I'm I definitely believe once I can, you know, model that, yes, this is the training program and this is the result and this is the outcome. And obviously, I don't have to pretend myself anymore. I mean, my work will, you know, definitely talk on behalf of me. But until then, I think somebody somewhere we have to start. Yeah.
Agreed. I completely agree with you. And I wish you best of luck. Yes, Dr. Preeta, you have something to add, please.
No, I think we should all ask. I think you should ask everybody how they heard about you. That will be the best example for us to know how it happened. How did everybody hear about Madam to enroll in this program?
Yeah.
I think we should.
A lot of you I do not know personally. So when I just to let you know, Dr. Preeta, the post that I created on LinkedIn, it was just by chance. It was one of the participants who's attending batch 2. So she, you know, nudged me 2-3 times. When are you doing a program? When are you doing? I was feeling bad. Yes, she's asking me for a program, not doing a program. I just designed one program and I posted on LinkedIn. That post got 63,000 views.
Oh, wow.
63,000 views. And then 416 people have registered for this program.
So that goes to show that people feel the need for it, but they don't realize that there is some kind of facility available.
Yeah.
So that's precisely the reason we need to make them aware that it is available.
Yes, I'm more. If you try this, I'll be really happy, and that's a good way to do it. For me, it did not work, and now I have lost that, you know, courage to go and tell people, please call me. I think I don't want to do that. I better use that time for something, you know.
In fact, I also reach out to you asking for, ma'am, when are you going to start?
I know. Yeah. Thanks to you and to Dr. Savita, who actually, you know, decided to join the program, even if one session was done. Otherwise, usually people say, okay, we'll join next program. But both of you were really very keen to do the program, and you know, joined the program. So I think do your work in the best possible manner. That's what has worked for me. And then I do post on social media, because as Dr. Tanu is saying, that helps.
LinkedIn helps.
Yeah. I got a lot of my, you know, professional achievements because of my post on LinkedIn. I think I shared last time also. I received an invite from Cleveland Clinic, Ohio.
Oh, wow.
To attend their annual summit on patient experience, just on the basis of my work that I'm doing, and I post my work on the LinkedIn. So I will encourage all of you to post your work on the LinkedIn. I was approached by country head, Cleveland Clinic, India country head. So she asked me that I have something important to, you know, share with you. And she said, I wanted to recommend somebody, and I was not knowing who would be the fit person to go there. Seeing your work, I think I was surprised that there's somebody who's working so extensively in healthcare communication. And I was by chance coming to US in those days. I just had to reschedule my ticket, and there I was. I mean, my trip, of course, tickets and all I paid, but then my travel, my stay, and my registration, which was almost like good $3,000-4,000 rupees, that $3,000-4,000 that they, you know, sponsored for me. Then I received another scholarship on from Academy of Healthcare Communication on their 3 days program. Again, it was registration was almost like $1,300. It was looked after by them. Recently, I received a scholarship for $10,000 to be a facilitator with ACH, Academy of Healthcare Communication.
Right.
So I think if you keep working, you know, in a steadfast manner and do your work in a sincere manner, it gets you result. It may be slow. So it's like bamboo tree that goes inside for good couple of years and then comes out in couple of weeks. So this is what we are. Yes, Dr. Rakshita, I completely agree. Even 20 is extremely economical. I completely agree. A lot of people even tell me this. This is peanuts. What are you asking for? But in healthcare, 20,000 also people are not willing to pay. And I think you will agree with me. What do you say, Dr. Kunal?
Training is spending on trainings is not one of the priorities of most of the healthcare organizations.
Yeah.
So it is quite difficult.
Right. I think that's
So,
one
but
of
now
the
it's slowly catching on, I feel.
Yes. It's
Organizations are becoming more aware, because ultimately there are a lot of cultural issues coming in performances, and I think.
So my first batch was everybody knew me. In the second batch, some people knew me, some did not know me. In the third batch, I just know a couple of you closely. But many of you know me or you have seen my work, but on the good faith that you have, registered for the program. So that shows that, sorry?
Your name was suggested to me by my chief operating officer of my hospital, in fact. He told me to connect to you because I think he's in management, healthcare management. I am alumni. So I don't know, maybe he must have said, but he said, please follow her. And then if she gets a chance, please do a course.
Thank you so much. So convey my thanks to him also.
I will definitely.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So that's how your work will spread. I mean, you will have to really work like this for years.
Yeah.
But it will definitely bring results. It will definitely bring results. I think I'm a live example in front of all of you. So don't get discouraged by this. So, but I shared very honestly that I am not, very good at pitching and networking with people. Then again, charging, yes, initially maybe you will not be paid enough, but then if you do your job well, I think we'll be able to charge well. Marketing yourself, again, people hire, business development managers who would do their marketing, who would do their social media management. You can consider all those options if you think and that will work for you, but that's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea. One should try everything. One should try everything that's, possible. Of course, with the help of professionals who know it better. Writing a training proposal is also very important. One must learn it because a lot of time you are asked about the training proposal. So we should know how to go about writing a training proposal. Again, writing a training report. But trust me, not very many hospitals will pay you extra for doing training need assessment or writing a training proposal and writing a training report based on the pre and post test. But in case if you get into any long-term, arrangement with any hospital, that's also one of the options. One of the hospitals have on their own approached me for a year-long association. It's been more than a year now. It's almost like we have entered into second year. And I'm working with their head of the departments. I'm working with the residents. I'm working with the nurses, front desk staff, and billing staff. So this is how they are asking me to do programs with varied, category of professional. But then so that is somewhere you will really need to write about the training report because you are associated with them on a long-term basis. Now, very quickly, last few slides, I will not spend much time, but just to tell you what is the mantra of success that worked for me, that I'll recommend for you. One is always integrate what is in it for me, right in the beginning. If you can tell them why they need to attend the program, I think half the job is done. If they understand the benefit that they're going to get out of it. Then beginning and end should be very engaging, very well thought with clear carry home message. If the beginning and the end are not engaging, then there's a possibility that they may go back with not a very clear, thought process or not clear carry home message. Then ask thought-provoking questions rather than giving information. I think the whole program should be designed in a manner where you are a facilitator. I'll be talking about in this next session that though we call it master trainer program, but it's actually a facilitation program. So you are a facilitator and not a trainer. So facilitation is all about asking questions. Answers will come from your audience. And this is one thing we have to learn because we have a tendency to speak a lot. But if you learn this technique, you will save a lot of energy. That will bring in a lot of engagement also. And also you will have more ideas coming from people, because a lot of people, give you wonderful ideas that you have not been able to think of. So that's one of the good ways to, have a discussion around. Then content has limited value, focus on creating experiences. So try to integrate as many possibilities or opportunities for experiential learning, because experience has a long lasting impact. They'll always remember you did that balloon activity with us. They'll always remember you did that window shopping activity with us, or any role play that you make them do. So that's something that you really need to, bring in your pedagogy, or in your, then especially with very learned audience, a lot of time they will ask you questions, asking you about where did you get this study, who says this. So be ready with these studies and updated knowledge to support your opinion and statement. You can be cross questioned. There will be people who can just ask you a question to shut you. But if you know the answer, if you have an idea what you want to say, to have a discussion, you can, then people will be all for you. All others will be impressed with your knowledge. Then be creative with your training pedagogies and curriculum, because every time I do a program, I read my content almost like 2 to 3 hours. Even if I've done that program hundreds of times, always I'll update either some activity, some slides, some questions, something. So do not be, keep the same slides and, program by program, you're delivering the same thing. Be very creative, add something new, delete that you think is not adding value. And that's how you can keep updating yourself. Keep doing professional programs to update your knowledge and skill. As I said, I am into training for 35 years, but even now, given a chance, I don't miss an opportunity to learn. Now, recently, my interest has gone to coaching. I want to get into formal coaching. So I'm trying to learn the, structure of coaching. How do you go about doing it? And maybe I'll not be actually coaching a client per se, but then when you have a background in the program, you can showcase that you know your subject well. Regularly time your session and reflect on it. Don't take your result as for granted. Every time result can be different. So you must reflect on your performance, reflect on the time, so that you have really met your expectations and your audience expectations. This is very important. Be realistic in how much you can cover and how much you can deliver. So once you will know your subject well, you will know. So just say, if you know how to make pav bhaji, if there are more guests, you will know how to increase the quantity. If there are less guests, you know how you can, reduce the quantity. So similarly, once you will have a knack of training and you will have good content in the background, you will know in how much time you can cover what. So when I have discussion, I have an eye on my watch. When I'm approaching the end of the time, I know I have to hurry up, then I'll cut short on some things. But I would remember that these are main points I have to cover, and I have covered in that. This we have discussed. Regularly reflect on your performance as a trainer, as a facilitator. Never assume that you're the best. Read the feedback carefully. I always read your feedback. Every feedback, I go on individual feedback and I read. That really helps me in understanding how I need to improve. You're all my well-wishers. When you give me a feedback, that is to tell me, change this is not working, this is not good. So every time I get a 4 from any one of you, that tells me I have miles to go before I sleep. I have miles to go before I sleep. I mean, that 4 is not enough. I have hunger for 5. And that should be with each one of you. 4 is not good enough. 5 is what you're looking for. And honestly, I take your 4 very seriously, that I have missed something that should have been part of my program. And then practice. I think that's the only way to excel. I mean, there are sayings, invest 10,000 hours in anything and you can become master of it. By attending my program, you will know the content, you will understand delivery, you will know the skills that you require, but that will only make you, what will make you a master trainer in real sense is when you will implement all this in real sense. Let your work speak for you. Thank you. So it's 11:30 exactly. Anything else? Anything you want to ask or say or comment? Did you find this session useful? I think that's...
I just wanted to share that I got your book.
Oh.
It was delivered to me 2 days ago.
Thank you.
So
please read it and give me your honest feedback. And
Sure,
if possible, go to Amazon and give your reviews there, honest reviews.
Oh, sure. Definitely.
Everyone,
Thank
I
you.
would request you to give your honest reviews on the... So I'll quickly...
regarding updating the knowledge and skills, I think most of the times we miss out on that part because of routine work. But how do you, because this has to be consciously done. How do we allot time, and is it on a weekly basis or something you can suggest where we can do that?
So I'll give you some very quick tips on it. For example, make it a habit to listen to TED Talks.
Okay.
10 minutes, 15 minutes, 18 minutes. I think 18 minutes is TED Talks time. So TED Talks give you the gist of a topic. And when you are interacting with your audience and when you bring up some TED Talk or reference of a book, your audience gets an idea that you're not talking in air. You're grounded. You know your subject and you're practicing that subject. Okay. Lot of messages may be coming for webinars. Keep an eye. If there is something that's useful, even if it is middle of the night, don't miss it. Don't miss it. There are times, day before yesterday, there was a webinar on being comfortable when you're not comfortable. It was about coaching. It is when people give you negative feedback, be comfortable to be uncomfortable. Because once you will take that feedback seriously, only then you will be able to improve your performance. So keep an eye on webinars and don't just read one subject, because we are dealing with human beings. So topics from leadership, motivation, relationship, they're all useful, because when you talk to your audience and when you can touch those points, like for example, Amrina talked about they are frustrated, residents are frustrated. I empathize, I completely agree. Our doctors are working in very pathetic conditions. If I see here how comfortable everyone is, but then at the same time, I can't cry. And even if I cry, it will not solve the problem. That means I have to give some solution to Amarina to go back with the message that that's not where you need to focus your energy or attention. Focus your energy on improving your resilience. And I gave a quick tip. I said, go ahead with these 3 things. And I challenge anyone and every one of you. Start implementing these 3 things in your life. After 1 month, you'll say we are in a very better and different position. We can deal with any amount of stress. I can sit and cry, people are not good, atmosphere is not good, things are not okay. I say, it's your choice where you want to focus your energy. So that updating knowledge will help you here. Training anybody can do, you can get PPT, you can get content. That's not what people are looking for. If I can give you value for your time, you will sit for another half an hour with me and keep asking me question after question. And if I'm wasting your time, you'll be looking at your watch, ma'am, end it here, it's enough. So that's something we have to really create. I've never brought in the topic of value for money. I value your time. You're investing 2 hours after a day long of your work. It's huge investment for me. And it's not 2 hours. If 12 of you are investing 2 hours, just imagine the number of hours, 24 hours. And I cannot disrespect that. So for that, I need to give at least 4 times the time. I mean, in the next session, I'll be talking about how much time should you be giving to prepare yourself for a training program. It's almost like 3 to 4 times minimum. So I need, for a 2-hour session, I need to give 5 to 6 hours or maybe more if the topic is new to me. Thank you for asking a very good question. Any other question? Meanwhile, I'll just quickly share the feedback form and would request you to give your feedback before we log out. Just 1 second, I'm copying the link. Let me see if it works, otherwise I'll have to recopy. So many of you have written very useful session, very informative, very insightful. Thank you so much. Your feedback goes a long way in encouraging me to give my 100%, 200%. So please check if this Google link is working. Otherwise, I'll have to read.
It is.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I'm stopping the recording on YouTube.